Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 54 Below. At this time, we'd like to remind you to please silence your cell phones and that the taking of flash photographs is strictly prohibited. Thank you. Now, please welcome to the stage, Rob Schneider.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much for coming out. Happy August. You are here for 50 Key Stage Musicals, Volume 4, the fourth in the series. So we're doing pretty good so far. I'm going to give you a little history of the book, and then I'm going to turn it over to these wonderful, talented people, a lot of them making their 54 Below debut tonight, which is very exciting. Right before the pandemic, I got like the call that every musical theater geek is waiting for. A publishing company called me out of the clear blue and said, can you tell us what you think the 50 most important musicals are, and would you like to write a book about it? So I thanked, all the show queens in heaven, so thank you for bestowing this upon me. We wrote a book. The book is primarily for students that are interested in musical theater and students that are studying it in college. And then we said, well, let's keep developing it so that way there's always going to be an educational resource. We created a podcast out of it where each show is celebrated with people that had worked on one of the productions at some point. And then we decided to turn it into a show here at 54 Below. Tonight is being recorded, so future generations will get to look and see of the performers who are working today, and that way their stories are preserved. So from the bottom of my heart, seriously, thank you all so much for helping us tonight to preserve some history for future generations. And we have people that are live streaming all across the globe. We have people in Australia. We have people in Japan. We are very, very excited about this. We're going to start off with a show that I hope all of you saw because you had plenty of time to see it. It was The Fantastics. The Tom Jones, Harvey Schmidt. The Fantastics opened up in 1960 off-Broadway. People said, what, a small little musical off-Broadway? That's not going to last. 40 years later, huge success. One of the main reasons we're going to be talking about it tonight, though, is last week we lost the great Tom Jones. Yes, give him a round of applause. At the age of 95 years old. 95 years old. If you did not have the pleasure of working with Tom, he's one of the greatest human beings ever. And we thought, to commemorate Tom's memory, I want to introduce you to two people who are going to start off our show. But before I introduce them, I want to introduce you to one of my favorite people, the Music Man, Mr. Michael Levine. The one and only Michael Levine.
I need to add one thing to Rob. This is Rob's 200th show at 54 Below.
I used to have hair and hope in the eyes, and things happen. But I got drink tickets cast, so there we go. Thank you, Michael. When the show closed, the Fantastics originally, people were not very happy, so they had to open up a revival pretty soon. And in 2006, I believe, was the revival. We have tonight the person who created Louisa in the revival, Sarah Jean Ford, and with her, the original harpist from that production, Erin Hill, and they're going to share some memories about the Fantastics. Come on up, Sarah and Erin.
For that entrance music. Hello, hello. Hi, I'm Sarah Jean Ford. This is Erin Hill, who was able to join us tonight. When they asked me to sing from the Fantastics, Michael said, well, we'd love for you to do the monologue, and we'd love for you to sing the song that Louisa sings. And I said, well, do we have a harpist? And I made that happen. Because you can't not have that sound. Last week, we lost Tom Jones, and I have shared some words over the week, and I'm going to share them with you. They're pretty funny. At least I think they are. You don't have to laugh. Tom Jones directed the revival. He didn't just star in it and write it. He also decided that he was going to direct it. And I can say with his blessing that he was not a great director. At one point during rehearsal, he said to me, at this point in the show, you're going to turn out to the audience, and a single tear is going to drip down your cheek. Yeah, and everybody in the rehearsal room laughed and guffawed, and he went, they're laughing, but I know you can do it. And so for the next 6 months, I was just in my head trying to will a tear down my cheek to just please this man. And he would sit backstage and listen to my monologue, and I would come off and he would give me line readings. So we did do a cast recording, which was like my dream come true, to be on a cast recording. If you listen to it, I can tell you with all of my love in my heart that that version of the monologue is not mine. It is Tom Jones in the recording booth being like, mauve, mauve. That's how you have to say the word. So I'm gonna attempt for Tom. I'm not gonna give him his performance tonight. I'm gonna hopefully give my performance, maybe the one that's never been seen. This morning, a bird woke me up. It was a lark, or a peacock, or something like that. Some strange sort of bird that I'd never heard. And I said, hello, and it vanished. Flew away the very minute that I said hello. It was mysterious. So do you know what I did? I went over to my mirror and I brushed my hair 200 times without stopping. And as I was brushing it, my hair turned mauve. No, honestly, mauve. And then red. And then sort of a deep magenta when the sun hit it. I'm 16 years old, and every day something happens to me. I don't know what to make of it. When I get up in the morning to get dressed, I can tell. Something's different. I like to touch my eyelids because they're never quite the same. Oh, oh, oh. I hug myself till my arms turn blue, and then I close my eyes and I cry until the tears come down and I can taste them. I love to taste my tears. I am special. I am special. Please, God, please, don't let me be normal. I'd like to swim in a clear blue stream where the water is icy cold, then go to town in a golden gown and have my fortune told. Just once, just once, just once before I'm old. I'd like to be not evil, but a little worldly wise, to be the kind of girl designed to be kissed upon the eyes. I'd like to dance till 2 o'clock, or sometimes dance till dawn. Or if the band could stand it, just go on and on and on. Just once, before the chance is gone. I'd like to waste a week or two and never do a chore, to wear my hair unfastened, oh, so it billows to the floor, to do the things I've dreamed about but never done before. Perhaps I'm bad or wild or mad with lots of grief in store.
Sarah Jean Ford, Aaron Hill. Oh, amazing. Thank you, Aaron. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my gosh. Okay, we are now gonna strike the harp, something I've never said in my 200 shows here before. Thanks for that, Aaron. Our next music, yeah, give her a round of applause as she's going off. Thank you, Aaron. And I didn't know this until before, but Aaron was in the original Titanic on Broadway as well. And Cabaret Revival, look at her go, okay. Oh, right, yeah. And of course, we're gonna have Nick on drums and Sean on bass after they play Crew for us. And I'm gonna talk a little bit while they do that. Our next musical premiered in 1957, and it is considered truly a landmark in the development of the American theater, West Side Story. Yes. Yeah, underscoring. With its book by Arthur Lawrence, music by Leonard Bernstein, and lyrics by a young Stephen Sondheim, it's considered key for introducing the figure of the director-choreographer as an auteur. That's a fancy SAT word right there, auteur. And that auteur was Jerome Robbins, who was known primarily as a Broadway choreographer. Under Robbins' careful watch, West Side Story saw the seamless integration of movement into storytelling in ways that had never been done before. Maybe Agnes DeMille coming the closest. Whereas Oklahoma utilized the Dream Ballet sequence, an overwhelming part of West Side Story's narrative is told exclusively through dance. Now, we cannot really dance on this stage. So, we are going to give you an example instead of the soaring score that was created by Mr. Bernstein and Mr. Sondheim. Here, making his 54 debut, is one of Australia's brightest stars, now one of America's brightest stars. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Daniel Aceta. Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Daniel, tell us a little bit about your association with West Side Story.
Okay, so West Side Story was always one of those inspiring shows to me as a child, growing up on the other side of the world in Australia. I watched the movie as a kid, and then in my college kind of course, we did West Side Story as well, and then gosh, now I'm trying to think where the years went by, but I did the last Australian tour of West Side Story, and we also got to travel to Germany as well. So I got to perform West Side Story at the Sydney Opera House, the Arts Centre in Melbourne, then at the Berlin Opera House, which was insane, and then the Dresden Opera House, which, all these incredible opera houses, but the architecture in these buildings, like, you've just seen nothing like this, and like 10 balconies. Like, it's truly just like incredible to stand there and just stare out at the beauty that is. And now recently, so I performed Tony all through there and in New Zealand as well. And then recently I also made my American West Side Story debut at the Muni in St. Louis. And so, like, it's so crazy to kind of have a show that's so special to me carry me all over the world. And now here at 54 Below.
Give us the greatest I Want song ever written. Take it away, Daniel.
Let's do it. Could be, who knows? There's something due any day. I will know right away, soon as it shows. It may come cannonballing down through the sky, gleaming its eye, bright as a rose. Who knows? It's only just out of reach, down the block, on a beach, under a tree. I got a feeling there's a miracle due, gonna come true, coming to me. Could it be? Yes, it could. Something's coming, something good. If I can wait, something's coming. I don't know what it is, but it is gonna be great. With a click, with a shock. Phone will jingle, door will knock. Open the latch. Something's coming, don't know when, but it's soon. Catch the moon, one-handed catch. Around the corner, or whistling down the river. Come on, deliver to me. Will it be? Yes, it will. Maybe just by holding still, it'll be there. Come on, something, come on in. Don't be shy, meet a guy, pull up a chair. The air is humming, and something great is coming. Who knows? It's only just out of reach, down the block on a beach. Maybe tonight, maybe tonight, maybe tonight.
Daniel Aceta.
Thank you.
That is great. Australia's loss is our gain. I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot more of Daniel. Our next musical of the night premiered on Broadway in 1950, just a few years before West Side Story. It was boasting a first-class cast and welcomed with rave reviews. It was called Guys and Dolls. Right? And it broke new ground by having two major plots and two primary couples, opposed to the formula popularized by Rodgers and Hammerstein of a separate primary and a secondary couple. You know, Curly and Lori in Oklahoma, then Ado Annie and Will Parker. Guys and Dolls changed this because all four principals shared equal stage time with one another. Now, to celebrate this Frank Loesser musical with its title song, a song that revolutionized the vocabulary of a character's lyrics, please welcome to the stage somebody who knows very much about Guys and Dolls. He's done it 3 times, including the last Broadway revival, Mr. Steve Rosen. Hello, Steve Rosen. Hello, Steve. Tell the crowd about your association with Guys and Dolls.
It all began as a child. No, it really did. My brother was in it in high school. He played, oh, ow, I hit myself in the face. I have not performed in a while. Yeah, my brother was nicely in high school, and just because of my family and how obsessed we were with musicals, I went to go see it every single performance, and I would go to all the rehearsals and stuff. So I got to, you know, when you're a kid, you see something over and over again, you start to like memorize it. So I was like very familiar with it in the way that like a little brother is. And then I didn't think about it again, really, until I auditioned for the Broadway revival that they did in 2009 at the Nederlander. Oh, you clap now, but when I leave, you're all going to talk about it. I know you will. At the Des McAnuff production at the Nederlander Theater, and it was a phenomenal experience for me. I got to play Benny Southstreet, who is the sidekick's sidekick. The least fun role to play, because it's you know, he gets to sing the big number, you get to sing this number, Guys and Dolls, which is very fun. And then I played Nathan a couple of times. They did a tour that Gordon Greenberg directed with Ben Crawford and Aaron Davey and Megan Sikora. It was super fun. We did a lot of like big outdoor theaters. And I was always just like impressed by how well the show played everywhere. It is so, in terms of musical comedy writing, from Abe Burrows and Joe Swerling, who's given credit, but you know, he has a sort of not a dubious history with it, but has sort of not really given as much credit as the other. And Frank Lesser's music and lyrics, the lyrics are so crazily good from top to bottom. And no matter where you are, it has this sort of universal appeal. It's like it is one of the greatest musical comedies ever written. And especially for what you were talking about as like these two different couples being the primary like focus of the show, it really was the first musical to have like an A and a B story as a comedy. So that's like, I feel like, this is weird because I'm having a conversation with someone behind me.
Don't ignore me. Ignore me. I'm nobody. Play to the house.
Tell me about your experience with this musical.
What a great question. I'm going to turn upstage so you know how it feels. I love this show. Are you ready to give us this title song?
I
am.
As
a solo? A duet as a solo?
I am doing a duet as a solo, and I'm keeping this here because I don't want to mess up the words, because I also saw that, like, Leroy Reams is in the house tonight, who's, like, a musical theater legend, and I am very nervous to perform in front of him because he's one of my favorite performers of all time. Yeah, let's
do it.
Let's do the song. What's playing at the Roxy? I'll tell you what's playing at the Roxy. A picture about a Minnesota man so in love with a Mississippi girl that he sacrifices everything and moves all the way to Biloxi. That's what's playing at the Roxy. What's in the Daily News? I'll tell you what's in the Daily News. Story about a guy who bought his wife a small ruby with what otherwise would have been used for his union dues. That's what's in the Daily News. What's happening all over? I'll tell you what's happening all over. Guy sitting home by a television set who once used to be something of a rover. That's what's happening all over. Love is the thing that has licked 'em. And it looks like Nathan's just another victim. Yes, sir. When you see a guy reach for stars in the sky, you can bet that he's doing it for some doll. When you spot a John waiting out in the rain, chances are he's insane, as only a John can be for a Jane. When you see a gent paying all kinds of rent for a flat that would flatten the Taj Mahal. Call it sad, call it funny, but it's better than even money that the guy's only doing it for some doll. When you see a Joe saving half of his dough, you can bet that he's banking it with some doll. When a bum buys wine like a bum can't afford, it's a cinch that the bum is under the thumb of some little broad. When you meet a mug lately out of the jug and he's still lifting platinum fol-de-rol, call it dumb, call it clever, but you can give odds forever that the guy's only doing it for some doll. Dance break. You know, they didn't have a dance call, and they didn't know that Titus and I were not like great dancers, so they made us sit on the side and other real dancers did the dance break. It's embarrassing. When you see a sport and his cash has run short, make a bet that he's banking it with some doll. When a guy wears tails with the front gleaming white, who the hell do you think he's tickling pink on Saturday night? When a lazy slob takes a good steady job and he smells from Vitalis and Barbasol, call it dumb, call it clever, but you can give odds forever that the guy's only doing it for some doll, some doll, some doll. The guy's only doing it for some doll.
Steve Rosen. Thank you. Yes, I got you. The great Steve Rosen. And friends, I got to tell you, coming up soon over at New World Stages, opening September 18th, Steve is going to be in Dracula, a comedy of terrors. You wrote it. He's not in it. He wrote it. He does everything. What can't you do, Steve? What can't you do? All right, our next musical is the most revived musical in the canon. It is Porgy and Bess. And to tell you about their time in the most recent revival, please welcome to the stage one of Broadway's greatest performers, Nikki Renee Daniels.
Hi. Yes, Porgy and Bess. I always say that it's my favorite Broadway experience that I've ever had. Artistically, it was amazing. I want to bring up Allison, who's going to sing in a little bit, but we'll talk about it a little bit together.
This is the great Allison Blackwell.
Yeah.
Did you all see New York, New York? See how brilliant she was in New York, New
Do you
York?
remember these glorious operatic tones in New
Yes.
York, New York? But we first met doing Porgy and Bess together, and we became friends. It was your Broadway
debut.
Yes, and I think for me it was so special because Audra McDonald has always obviously been a big idol of mine, and so to get to work with her and to be in the room, I mean, she shapes everything.
Yeah.
And
Norm Lewis
Yes,
and David Allen Greer.
and
I mean, it was just an all-star cast. For
yeah,
us.
and so many amazing opera singers who came and did
Absolutely.
the musical with us, and
Yes.
it was the best sung show I think I've ever done.
Absolutely.
And we started out with a little bit of controversy. I don't know if you remember a certain legend of the theater wrote a letter to the New York Times.
Tell the story. Yes, you
Yes,
can. This is for history,
so-
Nikki. Tell the story.
We were out of town at the ART doing our out-of-town tryout, and before we even had our first preview, Diane Paulus and Deirdre, our music
Deidre Murray.
supervisor, they did an interview with the New York Times about sort of some of the changes we were making to
Updating the
piece
script
a
and
little
changing
bit.
some things in the script and the story.
And to make them more like racially appropriate and acceptable. And Stephen Sondheim wrote a letter to the New York Times about how Porgy and Bess should never be changed, and it's a perfect piece, and it sort of tainted our show before we even had our first performance.
Yeah, our beginning experience was rough with that. We had a group
Yeah.
meeting, and it was like.
And our
we're gonna
producers
keep-
had a meeting
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
because we lost
Yeah.
some investors over it, like it was,
Absolutely.
and we wondered if we were gonna make it to
Absolutely.
Broadway. And so we did make it to Broadway, and we won the 2012
We
Tony
sure
Award
did, honey.
for
We
Best
sure
Revival.
did, babe. We sure won.
And Audra won for
Best
Best
Actress,
Leading
yeah.
Actress.
That was
in a
number 6,
musical.
wasn't it?
It was her first
Or-
time winning for Leading Actress,
Leading
I
Actress,
think.
yeah.
And David Allen Greer was nominated, and
Yeah,
Norm was
Norm.
nominated, and Philip Boykin was nominated.
Yeah,
So it
it
was
was-
really sort of,
Like a blessing in disguise.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
really a treat to sort of come in and show that what we had done was
Yeah.
worthy
Yeah.
of,
And
all
honored,
of those accolades.
and honored Gershwin and the history
Yeah.
of the show. We wanted
Yeah.
to honor the show. We didn't want to disrespect the legends and the history of it, but we wanted to update it and just see how it would look in a different way.
Yeah.
But
So
honor it
I
the same
think,
way.
I think we did a good job.
I loved it. What a
But
blast.
I sang Summertime as a duet in the beginning of the show, but Allison tonight is going to sing the version that Audra sang
Yes.
in the show. So
Yeah.
without any further ado, I give you my friend,
Aw,
Allison Blackwell,
Love you.
singing
Love you,
Summertime.
babe. Love you, babe. Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high.
and Mama standing
Allison Blackwell, Nikki Renee Daniels, thank you. Oh, how lucky are we? Right? Our next musical of the night is actually the last chapter of our book. Premiering on Broadway in 2016, this musical is Pasek and Paul's Dear Evan Hansen. Telling the story of social outcast Evan Hansen and a lie spiraling out of control. This musical is key for its noted use of social media, not only as a marketing tool, but as a character in the musical's dramaturgy. The marketing strategy for Dear Evan Hansen included the usage of fan photos in the musical's projection design, blurring the lines between the virtual community on stage and off. It seems fitting then that audiences' first exposure to Dear Evan Hansen was through a demo released online of the musical star Ben Platt singing the titular character's I Want song. Here to perform that iconic anthem, please welcome to the stage from the national tour of Something Rotten, Mr. Richard Spitoletta.
I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key, before I make the mistake, before I lead with the worst of me. Give them no reason to stare, no slipping up if you slip away. So I got nothing to share, no, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned. On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass. I'm waving through a window. Oh, I try to speak, but nobody can hear. So I wait around for an answer to appear as I'm watching people pass. I'm waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? We start with stars in our eyes. We start believing that we belong. But every sun doesn't rise, and no one tells you where you went wrong. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned. On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass. I'm waving through a window. Oh, I try to speak, but nobody can hear. So I wait around for an answer to appear as I'm watching people pass. Waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving when you're falling in the forest and there's nobody around? Did you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in the forest and there's nobody around, did you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in the forest and there's nobody around, did you ever really crash or even make a sound? If you're falling in the forest and there's nobody around, did you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? It's like I never made a sound. Will I ever make a sound? On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than 'cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. Oh, I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear as I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? Is anybody waving, waving, waving? Whoa.
Richard Spinoletta. Our next musical, while not the first to tackle the AIDS crisis, holds the accomplishment of being the first to have made a commercial and social difference. William Finn and James Lapine's Falsettos premiered in 1992, serving as a refashioning of his earlier musicals, March of the Falsettos and Falsetto Land. The horrors of the AIDS crisis that decimated an entire generation of gay men were still on the forefront of the public consciousness, so much that the critical response to Falsettos was immediate and rapturous. Writing for the New York Times, the critic Frank Rich wrote, quote, "The wave of euphoria Falsettos evokes is inseparable from the wave of tears that rises audibly through the house once Mr. Finn raises the ghosts of those Falsetto Land loved ones no longer here to join the party." To celebrate this momentous musical, please welcome to the stage a young man who is also making his 54 Below debut tonight, Chris Ritchie.
It's been hot, also very sweet, and I'm not usually indiscreet, but when he sparkles, the earth begins to sway. What more can I say? How can I express how confused am I by our happiness? I can't eat breakfast, I cannot tie my shoe. What more can I do? If I say I love him, you might think my words come cheap. Let's just say I'm glad he's mine, awake, asleep. It's been hot, also very swell, more than not. It's been more than words can tell. I halt, I stammer, I sing a roundelay. What more can I say? I won't talk inside my tongue and try to say both kind and young. I was taught never brag or shout. Still it's hot, just like how you read about. And also caring and never too uncouth. That's the simple truth. That's the simple truth. Can you tell I have been revised? It's been swell, damn it. even I'm surprised. We laugh, we fumble, we take it day by day. What more can I say?
Chris Ritchie with falsettos. When our next musical premiered in Vienna in 1905, it did so at a time when vaudeville, variety, music hall performances, and grand operas were beginning to fade. Franz Lehar's The Merry Widow, described as a, quote, risky operetta with scandalous subject matter, delighted audiences and critics alike, laying the groundwork to inspire the next generation of musical theater artists with a simple comedic premise and interwoven romantic narratives. The Merry Widow was a rare work in which every aria, dance, and musical interlude was crafted in distinct service to the plot. Sounding familiar? It's no coincidence then that a revival with choreography by father of American ballet George Balanchine would open in 1943 and run alongside Rodgers and Hammerstein's Oklahoma. To share a piece of this key musical with you, please put your hands together for $1 Million Quartet's Brian Michael Henry.
As diplomatic attaché, I have to labor every day. There's always something to be done. I wish I had some time for fun. I get up at the crack of noon, then in the office fairly soon. But then I pop out straight away. Well, you can hardly work all day. When documents are to be read, then I do something else instead. I know it's good to be in touch, but is it safe to know too much? But when there's papers to be signed, well, that's my job, so I don't mind. But then I often stop and think it may be best to save the ink. Then meetings at the cafe floor, plus an aperitif or four. Then weary from my heart travails, I toddle home to dawn my tales. Then off to Chez Maxime's, where things are très intimes, surrounded by chanteuses and all my favorite floozies. Loulou, dodo, joujou, clou, clou, margot, frou, frou, beloved Pontevedra, I do it all for you. A Danube of champagne and girls who entertain. I don't like spreading rumors, but have you seen their bloomers? Loulou, dodo, joujou, clou, clou, margot, frou, frou, beloved Pontevedra, I do it all for you.
Brian Michael Henry now. Pass the mic to you. You can tell us. Okay, now wait a minute, really quickly. The greatest thing about working with Michael is, I don't know if you know this, he has probably one of the world's largest collections of sheet music. If you ever go to his apartment, it's crazy. In fact, let's all go over there right now. You don't mind, Michael, but Michael has a little bit of trivia about this. Michael, take it away. It's like the bar mitzvah. Pass the mic.
Well, Many years ago, gosh, I had a dear friend, some of you know, named Roger Sturdivant, and when he passed away at his funeral, I played for Brent Barrett, and Brent and I started bonding, and Brent said, I'm doing a production of Merry Widow, and it's this new translation by Jeremy Sams. You know, Jeremy Sams is the British director, lyricist. He wrote Amour, which played on Broadway with Michel Legrand's music, and he's also worked a lot with Maria Friedman, and it was a brilliant translation. I said, this is fantastic. So when Brian came over, I said, Brian, do you know this translation? And you did know it, Brian?
I did know it. Yes, I
And
did.
they published a score with Jeremy's translation. That's what you just heard, and I think it's like a contemporary translation. It was all kind of funny, really getting laughs from you guys because I think it was funny. But what you didn't know, what you may not know, is that there was a movie of The Merry Widow back in 1934. 34? I can't read my writing. But we had new lyrics. It starred Maurice Chevalier and Jeanette MacDonald. And the lyrics were by Lorenz Hart. And we thought we'd give you a little lagniappe, like that word, of Lorenz Hart's lyrics. So take it away, Brian.
Part 2.
We're off to Chez Maxime's, where all the girls are dreams. Each kiss goes on the wine list, and mine is quite a fine list. Lulu, Dodo, Juju, Clou, Clou, Margot, Frou, Frou. We promise to be faithful until the night is through.
Brian Michael Henry, thank you. Jeremy Sams, Lorenz Hart.
Our next musical is truly key for its subject matter alone. Opening on Broadway in 2015, Fun Home tells the story of cartoonist Alison Bechdel and her relationship with her closeted father, Bruce. Fun Home is considered one of the most groundbreaking productions to ever hit Broadway, beginning with the reason that it's the first musical with an out lesbian protagonist that dealt specifically with what it means to be a lesbian in our society. But Fun Home didn't stop breaking barriers with its subject matters. It also became the first musical with an all-female writing team to win the Tony Award for Best Original Score. The honor was shared with Lisa Cron and Janine Tesori. Timing is perhaps everything with Fun Home, as it opened on Broadway just 2 months before the landmark Supreme Court decision that granted all Americans the right to marriage, regardless of who they loved. Yes. Here to share one of the most prolific moments from Fun Home, please welcome to the stage an artist who was in the regional premiere of this musical and who actually grew up in Alison Bechdel's town, where all of the action actually occurred. Can you imagine doing the show for your friends and neighbors? They lived it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Kaylee Avon.
What happened last night? Are you really here? Joan, 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 Joan. Hi, Joan, don't wake up, Joan. Oh my God, last night. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, last night. I got so excited, I was too enthusiastic. Thank you for not laughing. Well, you laughed a little bit at one point when I was touching you and said I might lose consciousness, which you said was adorable, and I just have to trust that you don't think I'm an idiot or some kind of an animal. I never lost control due to overwhelming lust, but I must say that I'm changing my major to Joan. I'm changing my major to sex with Joan. I'm changing my major to sex with Joan, with a minor in kissing Joan. Foreign study to Joan's inner thighs, a seminar on Joan's ass in her Levi's, and Joan's crazy brown eyes. Joan, I feel like Hercules. Oh God, that sounds ridiculous. Just keep on sleeping through this and I'll work on calming down. So by the time you've woken up, I'll be cool, I'll be collected, and I'll have found some dignity. But who needs dignity? Cause this is so much better. I'm radiating happiness. Will you stay here with me for the rest of the semester? We won't need any food. We'll live on sex alone. Sex with Joan. I am writing a thesis on Joan. It's a cutting-edge field and my mind is blown. I gladly stay up every night to hold my compulsory skills with Joan. I will study my way down her spine, familiarize myself with her well-made outline, while she researches mine. I don't know who I am. I've become someone new. Nothing I just did is anything I would do. Overnight, everything changed. I am not prepared. I'm dizzy, I'm nauseous, I'm shaky, I'm scared. Am I falling into nothingness or flying into something so sublime? I don't know, but I'm changing my major to Joan. I thought all my life I'd be all alone, but that was before I was lying prone in this dorm room bed with Joan. Look, she drooled on the pillow, so sweet, all sweaty and tangled up in my bedsheet. And my heart feels complete. Let's never leave this room. How about we stay here till finals? I'll go to school forever. I'll take out a dementedly huge high-interest loan. 'Cause I'm changing my major to Joan.
Kaylee, Yvonne, Kaylee. Our next show, Dreamgirls, yes, was the first. Oh, we're gonna go to, is it? Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Oh, I got my pages all screwed up. Don't worry, you're in good hands. I wrote a book. Can't read it, but I wrote it. Going back to Rent. Our next musical of the night is a little-known show that premiered in 1996 by the name of Rent. Perhaps you've heard of it. Written by the late, great Jonathan Larson, Rent explored the lives of young bohemians living in New York City at the height of the AIDS crisis. The musical was groundbreaking in its depiction of LGBTQ+ individuals' use of contemporary sounds to tell its story, and the diversity of its cast, as well as ensuring that those young audience members could sit right in the front row for student prices. Thank you, Student Rush. Did anyone else camp out at the Nederlander? Just me? Okay, great. Well, I'm hearing it, oh my God. Okay, great. Well, the premature passing of Jonathan Larson the night before the first preview robbed us of future groundbreaking works. Rent continues to make its mark as each new generation encounters it. To celebrate Mr. Larson and Rent, please put your hands together for two people making their 54 Below debut tonight, Eric Siegel and Jack Hale.
Oh my God, what am I doing? Don't breathe too deep. Don't think all day. Dive into work the other way. That drip of hurt, that pint of shame goes away. Just play the game. You're living in America at the end of the millennium. You're living in America. Leave your conscience at the tone. And when you're living in America at the end of the millennium, you're what you own. The filmmaker cannot see, and the songwriter cannot hear. Yet I see me everywhere. Angel's voice is in my ear. Just tighten those shoulders. Just clench your jaw till you frown. Just don't let go, or you may drown. You're living in America at the end of the millennium. You're living in America where it's like the Twilight Zone. And when you're living in America at the end of the millennium, you're what you own. So I own not a notion. I escape and ape content. I don't own emotion. I rent. What was it about that night? Connection in an isolating age. For once the shadows gave way to light. For once I didn't disengage. Angel, I hear you, I hear it, I see it, my film. I hear it, my song. Alexi, Mark, song, call me a hypocrite. I need to finish my own film. I quit dying in America at the end of the millennium. You're dying in America to come into our own. And when you're dying in America at the end of the millennium, you're not alone. I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
Jack and Eric, there they go. Our next show, Dreamgirls, was the first book musical with original music that spoke directly to the baby boomer generation, of which I am not, obviously. Not even close. Is it hot in here? Okay, great. What Dreamgirls accomplished was launching a trend of musical styles that became the sound of Broadway musicals. When Dreamgirls opened in 1981, it was also the biggest commercial hit at that time, next to The Whizzes, to feature a primarily black cast in a book musical. The musical launched the careers of people like Emmy Award winner Sheryl Lee Ralph, Tony Award winner Jennifer Holliday, and then years later would solidify the talents of Oscar winner Jennifer Hudson. Sadly, it was the last Broadway musical of director-choreographer Michael Bennett, who weaved a cinematic wand over the whole production. In fact, at that time, it was the most expensive Broadway musical to date with a whopping $3.5 million budget. I know, can you imagine? To celebrate the changing effect of Dreamgirls, it is my great pleasure to welcome to the stage Rent's very own LaDonna Burns.
Look me. Look at me. I am changing, trying every way I can. I am changing. I'll be better than I am. I'm trying to find a way to understand. But I need you. I need you. I need a hand. I am changing, seeing everything so clear. I am changing. I'm gonna start right now, right here. I'm hoping to work it out, and I know that I can, but I need you. I need a hand. I've been a fool who said I could do it all alone. How many good friends have I already lost? How many dark nights have I known? Walking down that wrong road, there was nothing I could find. All those years of darkness can make a person blind, but now I can see, ooh, I am changing, trying every way I can. I am changing. I'll be better than I am, but I need a friend to help me start all over again. Oh, then I'll be just fine. I know it's gonna work out this time. This time I am. This time I am changing. I'll get my life together now. I am changing. Yes, I know how. I'm gonna start again. I'm gonna leave my past behind. I'll change my life. I'll make a stand. Nothing's gonna stop me
LaDonna Burns. LaDonna Burns. Oh, the best. That's Queen LaDonna Burns. Two more shows for you. Our next musical premiered on Broadway in 2005 and did so in a season that churned out jukebox musicals to little success or favor. Although the term jukebox musical has been around for decades now, only recently had Broadway critics and audiences alike began to use it as a pejorative term. Jersey Boys would rewrite that narrative. Telling the true and often conflicting story of the four seasons' rise and fall, Journey Boys was unique in the sense that it had finally utilized a catalog of popular songs to tell a gritty, truly dynamic story worthy of the Broadway stage. Audiences flocked over to the August Wilson Theater, where the musical would run for 12 years and become the 12th longest running show in Broadway history. We have put together for you tonight a little Jersey Boys medley, and I know you know the song, so feel free to sing along. Here's our Jersey Boys for tonight. Matilda's Brian Osterman. New York's Mike Cefalo. Jersey Boys is Jonathan David Steffens. And the Nutty Professor's Jake Urban. Here's your Jersey Boys medley.
Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry baby, Sherry, can you come out tonight? Come out tonight. Sherry baby, Sherry baby, Sherry, can you come out tonight? Big girls don't cry. Big girls don't cry. Big girls don't cry. They don't cry. Big girls don't cry. They don't cry. My girl said goodbye. My oh my. My girl didn't cry. I wonder why. Silly boy. Told my girl we had to break up. Silly boy. Said that she won't call my bluff. Then she said to my surprise, big girls don't cry. Big girls don't cry. Ooh, walk. Ooh, walk like a man. Oh, how you try to cut me down to size. Telling dirty lies to my friends. My own father said, give her up, don't bother. The world isn't coming to an end. He said, walk like a man, talk like a man, walk like a man, my son. No woman's worth crawling on the earth to walk like a man, my son.
Oh, what a night. Late December back in '63. What a very special time for me. As I remember, what a night.
Oh, what a night. You know I didn't even know her name, but I was never gonna be the same. What a lady, what a night. Oh, I got a funny feeling when she walked in the room. Yeah, as I recall, it ended much too soon. Who loves you, pretty baby? Who's gonna help you through the night? Who loves you, pretty mama? Who's always there to make it right? Who loves you? Who loves you, pretty baby? Who's gonna love you, mama? Who loves you? Who loves
Jake Urban, Brian Osterman, Mike Cefalo, Jonathan David Steffens, your Jersey boys. Before we present the last song of the evening for you, I wanted to take a moment to thank the wonderful people who made tonight's evening. That's Kat and Dan on lights and sound back there. We got Becky on live stream. Your fabulous servers and hosts. Freddie Miller, our scriptwriter. We have Nicholas Urbanik on drums, Sean Decker on bass. The music man himself, Mr. Michael Levine on piano. Now, to close out our evening, oh, please welcome a true legend of Broadway to tell us about his many, many experiences with Hello, Dolly. He is the one. He is the only. He is Leroy Reams.
It's not over till the old fat white man sings. The encouraging thing tonight, I know all of you know, the theater is in very good hands because of all the wonderful talent that was here tonight. It's overwhelming. Thank you, Rob, for doing it. Okay, let's get down to business. I was in Lorelei with Carol Channing. It closed around 1974. A couple of years later, I got a telephone call. Hello, Leroy. It's Carol, darling. Carol Channing, like I didn't know, right? She says, I'm doing a revival of Hello, Dolly, darling, and I want you to play Cornelius Hackle, but Jerry Herman doesn't know you, darling, and Lucia Victor, the director, doesn't know you, darling, but you've got the part. And indeed, I did. In 1978, I played Cornelius. Then in 94, I directed the production. I've done it with so many wonderful, wonderful women, including, well, I don't want to mention one, because if I forget one, I'll get hell to pay for this. But anyway, and then I loved the role so much that I actually played it myself at the Wick Theater in Boca Raton. And the reason that I did it's not so much that I want to get dressed up and drag and do that. I just want to play a good part. And that show was so wonderful, starting back to the original play, The Matchmaker, by the brilliant Thornton Wilder. And Michael Stewart, who never gets enough credit for adapting that story into a musical. And of course, my dear Jerry Herman, whose score is just timeless. And so I thought it'd only be fitting tonight that we give you a sampler from Hello, Dolly. Barnaby, you and I are going to New York. Out there's a world outside of Yonkers. Way out there beyond this hick town, Barnaby. There's a slick town, Barnaby. Out there, full of shine and full of sparkle. Close your eyes and see it glisten, Barnaby. Listen, Barnaby. Put on your Sunday clothes, there's lots of world out there. Get out the Brilliantine and Dime cigars. We're gonna find adventure in the evening air. Girls in white and a perfume night where the lights are bright as the stars. Put on your Sunday clothes, we're gonna ride through town in one of those new horse-drawn open cars. We'll see the shows at Delmonico's, and we'll close the town and the world, and we won't come home until we've kissed a girl. And of course, Cornelius did kiss a girl, the beautiful Irene Molloy. They fall in love, but he left his job for the day, runs into his boss, Horace Van de Gelder. They get into a big brouhaha. They're put into night court, and he was fired. But he speaks to the court because he found something wonderful on this one special day. Isn't the world full of wonderful things? There I was, cooped up in Yonkers for years and years, and all the time, wonderful people like Mrs. Malloy were walking around in New York. And I didn't know them at all. I don't know whether you all can see from where you're sitting out there the way her eye and cheek and forehead all come together up here. Can you? I'll tell you one thing. A fine woman is the greatest work of God on earth. Oh, you can talk all you want to about Niagara Falls and the pyramids. They're not in it at all. Of course, I've seen women before, but today I talked to one. And they're so different from men. And they're awfully mysterious, too. I bet you could know a woman for 100 years without being really sure whether she even liked you or not. I have lost so many things today. My job, my future, all the things that people think are important. But I don't care. Even if I had to dig ditches for the rest of my life, I'll be a ditch digger who once had a wonderful day. It only takes a moment for your eyes to meet, and then your heart knows in a moment you will never be alone again. I held her for an instant, but my arms felt sure and strong. It only takes a moment to be loved, a whole life long. And Dolly finds something wonderful in this one day too. And she speaks to her deceased husband, Ephraim. She says, "Let me go, Ephraim. It's been long enough. For all these years, I've put out the cat, locked the door, made myself a little rum toddy, and before I went to bed, I said a prayer, thanking God that I was independent, that no one else's life was mixed up with mine." And then one night, an oak leaf fell out of my Bible. I placed it there the day you asked me to marry you, Ephraim. Perfectly good oak leaf, but without color and without life. And I realized that I was like that leaf. For years I had not shed one tear, nor had I been filled with the wonderful hope that something or other would turn out well. And so I have decided to rejoin the human race. And Ephraim, I want you to give me away. Before the parade passes by, I'm gonna go and taste Saturday's high life. Before the parade passes by, I'm gonna get some life back into my life. I'm ready to move out in front. I've had enough of just passing by life. With the rest of them, with the best of them, I'm gonna hold my head up high. For I've got a goal again, I've got to drive again, I'm gonna feel my heart coming alive again before the parade passes by. Look at that crowd up ahead. Listen and hear that brass harmony growing. Look at that crowd up ahead. Pardon me if my old spirit is showing. All of those lights over there seem to be telling me where I'm going. When the whistles blow and the cymbals crash and the sparklers light the sky, I'm gonna raise the roof, I'm gonna carry on. Give me an old trombone, give me an old baton before the parade passes by.
Leroy Reeves. The legend himself, Leroy Reeves. Good night, everyone. We'll see you at version 5, volume 5, coming up soon. Good night.